Mission a fucking accomplished. Goon Swarm is not a threat.
Good luck with your all's dumb nullsec war snuffed out number one. Anunnaki keep star is next, and then come on.
There, then you were just gonna fucking magically jump into EVE Online in a system, and it was just gonna load, and nobody was gonna call you fucking stupid later.
There's an Eagle fleet that has dive bombed a Megathron fleet. This is the bravest shit I have ever seen in my life.
The best possible shot to do something to the Imperium, and you fucked it up.
I talked a lot of shit over the last couple months. It's time to fucking eat some. And I showed up here to eat shit. Like,
The reason that this keeps started and get contested, and I cannot make this up, is because of tie-dye.
Guess where goons are going to live after this war is over?
Current plan is 319, I believe, right?
So,
Hi, sick.
I can
people
tell you very
overreacting.
clearly, our Diplos didn't even fucking care. Like,
White daddy.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another Sunday evening for another episode of Untethered. You got Luke, you got Fant, you got Redline. Guys, just a quick test. I've got a mini slinky on my desk. I am deadly certain that each of you has some nonsense fiddle toy on your desks of some kind that you could hold up at this stage. Luke's definitely looking for it. Oh, now Redline's looking for it as well.
Nope,
Now, what
I
is
know
that?
exactly where
Dark.
mine is.
It's a black glow thing. And a benchy for anyone that knows 3D printing.
Also, in two items in the same color as your entire room there. But yeah, we can see the outline. What have you got, Redline?
There's a fidget spinner on the floor somewhere. My
Is
cat
it
plays with it.
literally a fidget spinner, the kind
It
of
is,
thing
yeah.
that 11-year-olds played with 5 years ago?
Exactly. They're 18 now. It's
No,
an adult
Hoff, it's
toy.
not a euphemism. Okay, right, we'll leave that there for Twitch's
Oh,
standards in that case.
Yikes. Not that kind of adult toy. My bad. Anyways, on to
You
the
both-
news.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys both good?
I think so.
Excellent. Luke, Frat's good?
Frat's doing what Frat's doing. Yes.
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent. Redline, test good?
Murdering Fortizars as one does.
That sounds healthy to me. I can tell you for one, watch this. My alliance, we're doing good. We do have news of an alliance that hasn't done too hot recently, unfortunately. Good for all three of us here. But it's a bit of the end of an era as of today. In fact, finally, as of just a couple of hours ago, for the Frog Pond ticker Ribbit. They've been doing a great job in Galente faction warfare for, I believe, at least 2 years. Saw the genesis of them, saw them growing, and unfortunately saw them finally fracture and disband. They had their final blowout day on Friday, and as Sunday is the disbandment day. Also, super unfortunately, on top of that unfortunateness, their Discord was deleted a couple of hours ago as well. Allegedly completely deleted. Just 2 years of these people's culture, veteran players and a lot of new players who are having their first time in the game, just deleted, never to be recovered again. I think that's a real shame. I think it would have been cool to archive it, even if it only had the server owner in it. It's a bit wild.
Did
I don't
anybody
know.
say what the reason was for deleting all of the history just like immediately? At the very
No,
least,
as I say, I
just
wasn't
lock it?
expecting their Discord to be deleted. But a
wild.
couple of hours ago, that's what happened. That's a real shame. Listen, I know that Ribbit is, personally, as somebody who's fought against them relentlessly for the past few months as well, I know that a lot of Ribbit are dedicated, skilled players, not just in fleet, but loads who can do solo, small gang. I know that a lot of those guys have been finding other groups to move on to. I know that there's some groups that are forming as a result, or trying to form. We'll see how that goes. Anybody who's thinking of that they can't be bothered after this to move on and are thinking of quitting, I promise any of those people that there is fun available out there. You just need to spend a little bit of time, look for it, join it, get involved. You'll be back up on top again. And wishing well to the at least from what I've seen over the past few months, the only Galmil group capable of forming coherent fleets. You know, take what you learnt, guys. Take what you did and restart it somewhere else. Now, a little bit interested to see what happens to the Northern Warzone as a result of this. I mean, for a number of months, it's been a sort of stalemate as a northern central system of Aldranet has been a front line for a long time without budging. I'm interested to see what it looks like, how quickly Caldari rolls over this here. We'll see what they can do. I mean, all factions in faction warfare, including especially the pirate factions, definitely have a seemingly unlimited number of people who are here just to farm, and if uncontested, that's going to be a straight wipe. Hope you guys get organized quickly again, because you've got a lot of fun ahead of you if you can do it. And that kind of brings me on to something that we've got in this. We've got here between me, Luke, and Redline at various different sizes. All three of us are leaders in one way or another, direct FCs or commanders over in a very large group of people. I know that you've been looking to do a lot with NPSI as well, Redline. So what tips do you two guys have for any of the new groups that are starting to help them, ensure that they're going to have some kind of a success rather than just fail a week later with nobody logging in?
You mean the faction warfare groups?
I mean, I don't think it really matters that it's a faction warfare group. That's just a medium that they perform on, right? They are PvP groups. That's just the type of PvP they go for. But fundamentally, I think that, there's a lot of the same things between nullsec and neutrals and faction warfare people in how you just run a successful group in EVE, and there's certainly some people trying.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm the only group that I've ever run it's not really a group. But it's been growing and building for like 6 years. It was 6 years last month that this channel has existed. No, 6 years in May that this channel and all of this stuff has existed. It's wild.
So I would take it
my biggest piece of advice is just to be patient. It takes time.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Patience and the biggest issue with like EVE's a full-time job, right? I think the biggest thing is just working out how you manage the burnout and how you do things at your own pace that just doesn't end up you car crashing. Dedicate a year into a group, then it just car crashes, and then you just don't bother playing anymore. I think you have to work out how you manage that, because it can be quite intense, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what I did. Like my first year and a half playing the game, I just did so many fleet after fleet after fleet. And then I burned out, and I was like, no, please, no more. Try to get out, but they kept pulling me back in.
I think that, the piece of advice, I think that, any of these new groups who are springing up, something that is non-negotiable that these people have to do. If you want to lead the group in a manner where the group wants to stay together and keep logging in and, hopefully grow, you have to provide your membership with content in one way or another. There are an unlimited number of groups in EVE led by people who think that running a successful group in EVE is making a Discord and inviting people to it. And it's like, no, absolutely not. No group in EVE is going to exist just because you want it to exist. You have to give the group a purpose. You have to give them advice on what to do. You have to lead them. And, at a most basic level in EVE, that means you have to FC them, and you have to do it again and again and again and again. You can't show people it happening once and then expect them to just keep on doing it like you're teaching a robot how to work. It's not like that. My advice is going to be that if you aren't telling people, this is what we're going to do, let's undock now, let's go here, now let's shoot this, your group isn't going to exist in any meaningful way whatsoever. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that the groups that are really the ones that are gonna last are the ones that kind of run themselves, in the sense that, like, if I was the leader of a big, say I was the leader of a big nullsec group, I would have people that lead people that lead people, and it would essentially be just this, an organization. So I guess that's another tip, is to, ask for help and to accept it when it's offered, so that you can have an organization. But it would just be something where, like, if you left, you want that thing to continue, because you're not going to play
Yeah.
Eve forever. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, sure. I think that there's something to be there's something to be said for I mean every single successful group in Eve is, excuse the emotive word here, is a cult of personality around one or very few people. I mean, we've discussed
For sure.
that before. Every group has one or a small batch of people who, if they stopped, the group wouldn't continue.
And I mean, we saw that really recently with Pandemic Horde. Like, I didn't think that group would be as big of a cult of personality as it was. So everything just hinged on goblins, logging in. It was a crazy thing. Like, you would assume
it's not that though. I don't know. I think it's a bit more nuanced than that with Horde. I mean, I think that when it came to that one failing, it's seeing not just the guy at the top evaporate. It's seeing the next people down who are directly above you just essentially turn around and shout "abandon ship" at the same time, rather than saying, "Hold, this is going to be fine. Look, here we all are. We're together. We're ready to go." And I think that was potentially an opportunity.
Yeah, no, for sure. You touched on it a little bit. You were talking about how, like, it's that group's responsibility to teach. It is also that group's responsibility to teach the next generation of leaders within itself, right? So, like a successor, you've got to nominate someone to take your place, and tell them what to do and how to do it, so that when they do take over, your stuff doesn't just fall over. Like, look at Goons. I don't give Goons any credit at all, ever, at all. But their leader left, and he was the leader for a long time. But the person who took over kind of knew what he was doing, and over the last few years, has really come into his own as the leader of a giant coalition, the giantest of coalitions, actually, in the whole video game.
I got and this is I don't know how well this advice scales with size, right? I'm running a small group here. Redline, you've been FTing a fairly large number of people, and you're looking to keep going and manage a sort of an NPSI type, everybody come and play with me type thing. And Luke, obviously, you are extremely high up near the top of the pyramid for an unimaginably vast number of people here. So, tell me how much you feel this scales. But something that I've always tried to do with my group, and it's been like 3 years, maybe, something that we've been running. It's slow growth, but it's growth nonetheless. Something that I've always tried to do is not have as little chatter as possible in the separate leadership area. I don't want to put much social focus into the more limited leadership area. I want to do all of as much of my social enjoying joking around as possible with everybody in the alliance. I don't want there to become a feeling either within the very few people who are designated leadership or from the larger number of people who are the membership. I don't want either to feel like they are separate, or that they are different, or that one side thinks that they're better than the other. anything like that. And so, we keep joking and chatter to a minimum in leadership. If we want to have fun with people, we want to have fun with all of our guys at the same time. We don't want to feel like we're on a different plane to them, because I feel that that's somewhat disrespectful way to run a group. And it's certainly not. I'm sure that there are plenty of groups that do have those separate planes of leadership and membership where they're quite separate. But I have seen in some groups, some that I've been part of, and we've seen on Reddit evidence from some that I haven't been part of as well, where a sort of split grows between leadership and membership, and one looks down on the other. And I think that's just a beginning of failure for a lot of groups, is this kind of everybody else is unworthy, but I need them here to do as I say type thing,
I don't think I've ever seen that in my whole entire life playing EVE Online.
So you were only ever in the membership where you couldn't see it.
I think you're just projecting.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that's my experience. Thankfully, not that wide-reaching. All right.
Yeah, so I think generally, I think you're right. Obviously, it's always going to be you need some camaraderie, amongst leadership, especially with big groups, because when things are stressful, they're stressful. But I think, generally, it is about just kind of being in the open and having those conversations with everybody and having fun with everybody, rather than I think it's fair to say, closed room politics don't work in the long term. If nobody understands why you're doing a thing, why would they give up their time, right?
Yeah. I mean, there are some things that you need to keep secret or have a sort of decision-making conversation about without the input of another 29,000 people, all at the same time. But I would never feel it would be healthy for there to be essentially a caste system in your group, in any group. Anyway, listen. That's how to make a successful group. Just do all of that stuff we said. That's job done. You're gonna make a successful group now. I think that we're probably on the verge of being joined by Sven and starting to.
I was going to say, are you just biding time at this point for Sven before digging into?
Oh well, I'm not biding time, because we're going to go into it now. But what we will do is we will look at some of the non-balance changes until we're joined by Sven.
Well, you mentioned something about getting something out of the effort, and that does segue perfectly into this Galente election.
Oh yeah, with some special mods, which
we're
as far as I read,
we're being asked to vote in an election with effort. Is that right?
Well,
what do we get
I think
out of this?
The thing that people, listen, you have helped guide democracy in one of the 4 major factions of EVE Online. What a privilege,
right?
Redline. Yeah, of course it is.
A privilege indeed. I don't even like the Galentes. What do you mean?
It's your privilege and duty. Needless to say, I have not taken part myself, because I log into EVE to undock spaceships rather than to roleplay. But I have this little scratch itching at the back of my mind where I always feel like I'm missing out on something really cool by not being more involved with the lore events of the game. Have either of you taken part or spoken to anybody who's taking part?
Not yet, not me, but I'm going to.
I got a couple of friends who have been doing
sites to do.
Yeah, he's been doing some of the sites. New officer modules.
I've heard about those as well.
3 separate officer modules. Yeah. Now, the way I read it is that these modules are not going to be available after this. So these are going to be some of them are slightly better than regular achievable modules in the game, but they're only a little bit better. But what I read from this is that if you're going out and getting some of these, it's likely that if you hold on to them, these could just be rare, growing in price, essentially semi-unique items, just curiosities for collectors in the future. There's a probe launcher. I believe, well, the only Officer Probe launcher. There's a Nano, and there's something else as well that I'm sure somebody will be able to tell us about in the chat. So the person that I was speaking to spent several billion on the materials that people have to submit for this here, rather than run the stuff themselves. They just bought the stuff and submitted it to get these modules, and they've got it back. So as an example, the nanofibers, Rodin's modified nanofibers, give you, he says, 0.5% better agility and 0.5% better velocity modifier. So it's a very minor bump in performance by having these, but for the rich in Eve, a bump is a bump in performance. That's enough to make them spend many billions on these. The probe launcher is 5% better scan strength, that is something in this case. That's gonna add on nicely to everything that's you would already train to and fit to increase that. So maybe somebody's going to fit that onto a Pimp Tech 3 for hunting, onto their support Tech 3, something like that. But yeah, that's the election and those modules. I don't think that it's going to actually change anything in the game, depending on who gets elected.
It might though. Why couldn't it? But that's not it. There's a lot to do with the election though. It's wild. Like there's new drones, there's the new character backgrounds. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the only time we've ever been offered the ability to buy character backgrounds, right?
I really don't know anything about any cosmetics in the game.
All right.
Because I cannot
So
be bothered
it
with
is.
them. But yeah.
It is. So remember, gang, you are letting CCP know how you would like to be monetized. Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have a problem with cosmetics. I just don't care.
No, I'm just saying. Neither do I. It's a fantastic thing,
I mean,
and I would pay money for them.
I'd rather be monetized cosmetics than gold ammo. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, knock yourself out. I mean, I do find it odd that we don't have cat ears. I mean, it's a meme, right?
Well, it's always with the cat ears with you people.
Well, it's a meme, right? And it's an endlessly rehashed meme. But at the same time, why aren't they just doing it? They'd make a lot of money. A lot of people would buy it. They put out a lot of other cosmetics that nobody gives a toss about. Why not do the one that people want? I genuinely. They talk about it. CCP people. I know that quite often some of them are watching. Think about this for a second. A lot of you at CCP will joke about cat ears in the game and laugh, but why? Why isn't there some kind of cybernetic cosmetic cat ears in the game like people have asked for 15 years that they will spend money on? What's the hold up here? Because if you would genuinely answer that with some kind of it doesn't fit with the aesthetic of the game or the lore, you did a Doctor Who crossover. What are you talking about? What's the hold up? I mean, there's a lot of subjects in Eve where I want to scream, "What's the hold up?" But this is the one I'm picking today, right? Is what's the hold up? Can you just do it? You say, I mean, the Jeter in local, he's like no pink ships, and now not only can we make our own that look insane, but you've made pink skins as well. How about just do it? What's the problem? Genuinely, I don't think there's a satisfying answer to that. Do you want some money? Yes. Do it.
You're very animated over cat ears.
I am, because I don't even give a toss about cosmetics. And yet, it's really painful to see CCP not doing things people want while trying to run a business. It's not even a balance change. You don't have to think about the impact this would have on the game in any way whatsoever. Okay,
I do
sorry.
know
My,
one
it was
thing
lower my heart rate.
is that if there is one place that you're going to be allowed to go on a 3-minute rant about cat ears in EVE Online, it is this show. That is fantastic.
Can either of you tell me why that's not an unreasonable rant? Why it is an unreasonable rant? Sorry.
I mean, I respectively
Yes.
would look at cat ears and go, that is a step too far.
I
If
mean,
I want to go and play a South Korean MMO, there are lots of them available. That is not why I play Eve. And that's not me
That's the step
like
too
even
far.
digging at South Korean MMOs. There are a couple that I play. However,
I do have some news for you, by the way. I need to interject, Luke. You don't want to play a South Korean MMO.
I mean, technically, yeah, let's follow the dots back to further bits. But,
Aren't
but
we?
you also know
playing with South
exactly
Korean
what I
MMO
mean.
right now.
Sorry, Luke, to interrupt, but that was too good.
I think you know what I mean. That there are plenty of games where that is logical, and I think there is a difference between like pink ships and caddies, and I think there is a difference.
Listen.
There could be a cybernetic version.
I think that putting them on ships would be out of law. However, I am
You've clearly
certain.
not seen some of the Serenity skins. Then
I
He wants to
am
put on
certain
Anseblex Kates.
that's not really. Yeah, listen, the Anseblex already has little nodules all over it, which could be
I'm done with
crafted into
this.
cat ears.
I'm over this. You want to ruin
Okay.
them further. You want to make people not use them. I see through you. All right. Let's dig into this update here. Because I want to talk about some of
pick
these
another
changes.
one of the contents things, yeah.
The contents things. I want to talk about carrier crab beacons. And I want to talk about rorquals. What are we doing? Why are we running crab beacons and rorquals? Why are we doing that? Who raised us this way?
What's your question here?
Full or not?
Why are we doing that? Or why
Doing what?
were we doing that?
Lay it out.
Okay, so you know how the crab beacons exist, right?
Yes.
And they're supposed to be for like dreads, whatever. Well, people have been running them with carriers instead. I'm sorry, with rorquals instead. They turn them on, and then they run the site with rorquals. Correct. Well, they run them where there are asteroids.
Yes.
And then they use rorquals. But for what? Why would we do that? So now that doesn't exist anymore, allegedly. You can still... No, I am understanding the game. I understand why we do that. It's because we min-max the shit out of everything because EVE players are god-awful. That's a fact.
EVE players are
I'm not about god-awful. EVE players are just EVE players. like it's just game theory, right? If you can min-max it, you will min-max it, right? It's not...
We must metagame out the fun. That's what we must do. It's sad, but it's okay. It's fine. Because now you can't do it anymore, right?
Okay.
And there's a new crab beacon for carriers. Only for carriers, right?
Yeah. What's the question?
Hold on.
I mean, I'm down to. I've got opinions about it, but what's the question?
Speak on it, because I'm looking for. I gotta find a screenshot. I had a screenshot and I forgot where it went to.
I am pleased to see CCP building PVE specifically for carriers. Now, I can't comment on how good the PVE for carriers is, but nonetheless, I'm pleased to see CCP building PVE for carriers rather than making carriers good at doing the regular current kinds of PvP. PvE,
right.
Sorry.
I've got my screenshot. Ladies and gentlemen of the chat, if we can no longer run crab beacons with rorquals, then what's this? This screenshot that I've put onto the stream. What's this?
Okay. So it needs some work. Is that where we're going with this?
I'd say, well, these are rorquals running the new crab beacons. Anyways, I've also been told that the new carrier crab beacons They can't even be soloed by a single carrier. You need like 2 or 3 of them, which
Again, all
is-
I'm hearing is these need more work.
They do. They need way more
Yeah.
work than they were given. For sure. Anyways, the new crab beacons, they don't target drones. So now, not only are people able to run the new crab beacons with rorquals, but they're able to do so without their drones, which is the primary method of damage for a rorqual being targeted. Isn't that fun?
Okay. I mean, all I'm seeing here is something that's a few days old, needing a little bit of a balance pass on first release. Now, whether
Only there was
CCP
a
will
place to test
will
these
do
things.
it is whether CCP will do that balance pass in a timely fashion is up to them. But I mean, in my mind, that's what it needs.
Until then, enjoy the buff, right?
Well, what do you, we're about to verge into what do you think? What do you want carriers to be buffed to be able to do?
I mean,
Which
me
is a conversation
personally,
we've had a few times. Yeah.
I think that carriers should be impeccable at killing subcaps. Impeccable.
We have 2 classes of ships already for that. We have dreads with high angle weapons, and we have subcaps themselves for doing that.
Right, but what do carriers do then?
No. I don't want to approach this from, but we need to find a purpose for carriers. I want to approach this from a game balance perspective. Now, when I hear you say I want carriers to be brilliant at killing subcaps, what I hear hidden behind that is I want to be in a 3 million EHP machine where I'm the main character and I can fight off any small gang that comes to shoot my unsupported carrier.
I wasn't
I
that
don't think
quite.
that's what I'm saying.
That is
that's
what
quite
But I'm
that
saying
is
that
the
I'd like
hidden
to
part
stand a
behind that
chance.
request.
But I'm saying that I'd like to
Okay.
stand a chance because right now, what can kill a carrier? Let's look. Let's
Bunch
find a
of
kill mail.
subcaps, a dread.
Let's find out. Yeah, you talk. I'm gonna find a carrier kill mail.
Sure. No, I do not. I'm not trying to tell you that carriers are in a good place. I'm trying to tell you that carriers being kill everything smaller than them ships is a super dumb idea that we had once already for a number of years and was super unhealthy because they just became the new battleship.
Well, and they became the new battleship. Why? Because they had both the tank and the damage that was required to replace that group. A carrier can be given the damage without being given the tank. So as long as your
So you
fighters
want-
are out there doing their
okay.
thing. So let
So
me
what
put it
kind of
this way. I
tank-
want the fighter to be able to kill the subcaps. But if a carrier is unsupported and is just out on their own, they should be able to die to, I don't know,
Okay.
a relatively low number of people.
Tell me, Redline, how much
Yeah.
DPS does a carrier do today,
I have no
regardless
idea.
of application? Okay,
have
well
no
that's
clue.
probably pretty key information here, because what you
Can
can
pop a
already
fit in
do with
my,
a carrier,
in the
you
game.
can already apply your fighter DPS today to any subcap you like, as long as you bring some support ships for tackle and painting and things with you.
Oh, okay.
You can already do it today.
How many?
You just
How
have
many?
to do it as part of a team.
How many people do I need to support this 5 billion-isk capital ship?
Now you're balancing it because it's expensive, so it should kill everything.
No, it's expensive, so it should do something
Listen,
on its
I'm
own.
down to make it cheaper. Why should it do something on its own? Do you want a fax to be able to be a solo ship because it doesn't work without a fleet with it? Do you want a deep space transport to be good, to be capable of doing things on its own in combat rather than with a support fleet when it's in combat? Why does the carrier deserve to be a kill everything ship when we already have ships designed to kill subcaps?
It doesn't deserve to be a kill everything ship but it deserves to be a kill something ship. And I think that
Okay, yeah,
subcaps
by all means,
are
bring
a
some
great
support.
target for that. Okay, hear me out. Can you outrun fighters?
Sorry, say again.
Can you outrun fighters?
In some ships and not in a lot of others.
What if you could outrun fighters in more ships?
What if I could outrun? Say that again.
All right, I'm just gonna say my point. So look, the fighters are being changed. They've already been changed to there's less fighters in the squadrons, yada yada. But there could be a way to buff carriers while nerfing fighters in a sense that makes it so that there are subcaps that would be ideal for killing carriers, but carriers in general, if they are able to get their fighters on you by using an interesting combination of support fighters, which I don't even believe they can use anymore, then they're going to kill you.
What do you want these things to be able to do that they can't do right now?
I want them to be the go-to ship for doing ratting sites.
We already have great ships for ratting as it is now. We also now have we also now have PvE content specifically designed for carriers. Now it definitely
know.
needs some work. It
And it's
definitely
being
needs some
run by
work.
Rorquals. So
Yes, it
that's
definitely needs some work.
right. Yeah, no, I'm not defending an Astor House. And I'm not saying that carriers deserve to be able to kill everything, but I'm saying that they deserve to be the optimal ship to run the beacon that is literally named after them.
Yes, and I think that the beacon clearly needs some work so that that can be true.
Do you understand that if they work on the beacon, it will just make it that much easier for the Rorqual to do it, unless they exclude it somehow?
Yeah, by, for example, making it so that the rats don't shoot fighters, but will it be extremely prejudiced against regular drones.
That would be an interesting change. I hope somebody's
There,
taking
solved.
notes on that one. Not solved. It's close.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
I mean, I think I've just solved that there,
All
though,
right.
haven't I?
Pick the next change then. Somebody says we have brain damage. It's a public Discord, but they'd rather complain in the Twitch chat.
Well, listen. I have never once heard from anybody in this game any reasonable justification for carriers being able to just by themselves apply perfectly to subcaps generally. Because we did have that, and it was just carriers online for all large fleets, especially in nullsec. So anybody who just wants to sort of make a sort of angry noise about that, because that's clearly what they want, screw you. You are stupid. There we go. Pochven improvements. Pochven improvements, Redline?
Are these improvements to Pochven?
Well, they might be. They might be. Rewards.
Sven, by the way, he was
pacing.
threatening to turn up. Is he just?
He was definitely turning up, but we'll
He's
get to
AWOL,
by the time
dude.
we get to Black Ops, he'll be here. Triglavian ships have an immunity to Pochven system debuffs. They want you to have more Leshaks, they have more Drex, more Ikatersas, and more Zarmazds in Pochven. And those are ships which are very, I think, reasonably scattered throughout all of New Eden. They are not the default best choice, but they are useful in lots of different situations. I think it's interesting to see space-specific, essentially, buffs to certain races of ships.
No, I agree,
I'm less-
because these ships are definitely useful.
We're
See,
seeing
I'm
a
less
temporary.
I'm less convinced with that one because Eve, the very definition of Eve is it is a sandbox until you put hyper forcing of a certain direction of play in a certain part of the space. And for me, that feels like that's all that's doing. I get the thematic thing. If you're in Trigavian space, therefore Trigavian ships, double
Yeah.
thumbs up.
I mean, there's something similar going on at the same time in any space that is under Galente control right now. Galente ships in Galente controlled space all have a buff on them at the moment.
But you made the important point there, which was at the moment.
Yes, it's temporary. It's
law related.
It's a similar type of thing. I've always been uncomfortable with the idea of seasons, like seasonal seasons for specific ships. I mean, it's not a season as such for trig ships here, but it's I feel a little uncomfortable with there being a Galente ships are straight up better type paradigm in Galente space right now. I mean, it's only temporary, so we'll see.
Feel like seasons, you're going to be so disappointed this summer.
Now, can anybody here tell me what the Pochven debuffs actually are that the trig ships are now going to be immune to?
Warp speed and
sorry, one sec. In chat, higher brand. We considered, is it just Galente specifically? It is only I tested it. You only get the buff when you're in a Galente ship. I could log in and verify that right now because I'm in Galente space, but it is Galente ships specifically. Yes, it's for armor repair and something else that I can't quite remember, but it is Galente hulls only that receive this buff. But yeah, what's the Pochven debuff that these things are now immune to?
Warp speed and max target locks.
And armor rep amount. Blaster tracking. I'm going to verify this. It's something I should have verified beforehand. But yeah.
I mean, I'm reading it. It literally says...
Oh, sorry. You're talking about the Pochven ones.
Triglavian ships, both T1 and T2, will be immune to the warp speed and max target lock penalties.
Okay.
So somebody said it, and oh no, it was Millant. Millant made an incredibly good point that Edencom systems should give a buff to Edencom ships.
Yeah, a real useful buff to all those Edencom ships that we always fly a lot of.
Well, if the point is to make people fly them, buff them, right? Why not? Can you imagine a fleet of Thunder Children? Ugh.
Yeah. What does it look like? What does a buffed one of those look like to you?
It can warp faster and lock more targets at once.
Okay.
Just the same.
I mean, I don't think that sounds unreasonable. Warping faster as a bonus to one specific faction of ships is a sort of funny one because it will help smaller groups of people. It will be less relevant to a large fleet because they're usually going to have a lot of other ships in there that aren't going to be able to fleet warp. It's going to be held back by the rest of the ships in the fleet for fleet warps. So make of that what you will.
I like Peace's point here, known for their requirement to lock many targets. Yeah, on the same token, Triglavian ships are known for having to lock many targets as well. Crazy.
Well, I mean, they'd certainly be wanting to get ready to shoot their next target and rep another one, perhaps if they're using their remote reps and point something else, that kind of thing. A lot of Edencom ships are going to be in a large fleet situation where they're not also doing dual duty of tackle and reps. But yeah, okay, fair enough. Do we want to move on to the absolute bait section of...
Well, we gotta have Luke's pick. Luke's the person who's picking the next range to talk about. We're jumping all around. I'm scrolling like a crazy person. It's driving me insane.
I feel like there's only one thing I'm going to talk about, which is the Drifter Wormhole thing.
Talk to us.
It's been
Speak
great
on it.
what people rage on Reddit about it.
That's interesting, Luke, because that's not what the table of contents title for it says. It says force projection changes.
Oh, it is a method of force projection.
You're right.
Fucking hell, here we go. Yes, it is not a change that Antiplex is. I agree. Which is where you're going, fan, right? Which is like, it's kind of like halfway in, kind of tease something and don't go the full way. But it is still a step in a direction.
It is
And
a step
personally,
in
I
a
like the fact
direction.
that you
needed
can't just
fixing.
log in, like, you can't just cycle through an alpha army of accounts and map all the normal K-space size of drifters, right?
Yeah. Now, drifter wormholes, correct me if I'm wrong, but they are still mass limited, right?
Yeah, but there's been any change to the actual holes themselves, I don't think.
Sure, there's just some effort required now rather than there it is, I can warp to it whenever I like.
Right.
Yeah,
it
I
just
think
has to be
materially,
scanned down.
yeah, you have to scan it. What I don't know is how hard it is to scan. If anybody in chat has actually scanned one now, it'd be interesting to know, because obviously sites can
Probably-
range it.
Probably no harder than a regular wormhole.
I would assume not. But it does mean you just can't cycle through, a whole load of alphas to now all of a sudden know all the drifters at least on one side, and then just jump through it to then scan internally.
Mhm.
So it adds some effort to that type of force projection.
I think it is. Now, also, I've only been through these like twice in my life, right? So correct me where my memory is patchy here. But these things reliably spawn in specific systems repeatedly, right?
Yeah, so it's just they spawn in systems, or they can spawn in systems with Jove observatories.
Okay. So
right, and there's a lot of systems with Jove observatories.
Okay.
But
all right.
There aren't so many systems that you couldn't check every one of them very rapidly with an army of alphas. That's what Luke is saying. And now you can't really do that because now you have to log in.
That's why I'm curious to how easy or hard
scan
they
it.
are to scan.
It feels like it's an extremely gentle nerf here to these wormholes. It just adds a bit of.
It's kind of a nerf to one side and a buff to another. So, like, if you think about it, for using the wormholes, you're literally not like, if you're a group, then someone's already going to have scanned it down. If you're in a group that consistently uses these wormholes, someone is going to go around and look for them and try to scan them down. Like, these are things that are going to happen. But if you are in a group that doesn't use these wormholes and you have one spawn where you live, you're not going to know that that's an active drifter wormhole just by looking at your probe skin or your probe skin or whatever. You're not going to know that, so you'll have to scan it down too.
Okay.
So it makes the groups that are using the drifter wormholes harder to catch, but it also makes it harder for them to use the drifter wormholes, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'd be interested to know just how much of a force you can put through these wormholes. Because as I say, I've only been through in small gang, right?
Pretty significant
I don't
amount.
actually know. I mean, what are we talking? What are we talking as some examples as to what kind of a force you can put through these, assuming they're fresh?
I mean, I've put like 100 bombers through one.
Okay, so 100 small ships. Nada says 100 kikis, another 100 small ships.
You tell a bomber
100
it's small to its
is
face.
the-
See what happens.
Yeah, 100
It's the
plus bombs.
biggest ship in the video game, Phantomite.
And am I also right in thinking that you can't put caps through them, or can you?
No.
No. Okay. All right. So it's a subcap
it's just-
only hull, but you can
it's
put a
a-
significant fast force through it.
It's another highway. It's another wormhole highway. There's what, 4 of them? Era, Turner, Drifter wormholes, and then just regular K-space spawns. Like,
Yeah.
wormholes are an amazing travel method, which is why I don't understand why people want to nerf Fanciflex so much. Like, people won't just use wormholes about it. Like, I get the mass limitations, but its mass has been limited forever, and people have used wormholes
I'm being strong.
forever.
I'm being strong. I'm ignoring
strong.
that. I'm not
Don't
gonna. I'm
ignore
not gonna
it. Bring
say
it
anything
on,
about
dude.
that.
We haven't had a good Ansiblex debate in months.
Yes, we have
Months.
every single show.
Not every show.
Listen, how am I the
Alright.
one trying not to have this discussion?
That's okay. It's fine. We don't have to have it. I can instead pick a different change to talk about.
Well, there's one last
or
one,
you can.
the biggie to
Last.
talk about.
There's a million of them. There's a million biggies.
Okay.
I'm guessing, are you talking about the battleships, the Black Ops?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll skip that one. What do
No,
you
I
know
was gonna
about
say,
Homefront
for sure.
operations?
I know that there was an unintended. I mean, maybe I assume it was a bug with them that was paying out multiple billions per site recently for a short while.
Oh, that's crazy. That's amazing.
In raw risk. So GG. It's just another in a. Hang on, let me be. I'm trying to be a little bit fair here. CCP does have projects that they are repeatedly coming back to tweak and change. Homefronts is not one of them. Homefronts is something that was launched and instantly thrown away like an unwanted baby, and it is not being raised by any loving parents whatsoever. It's just left to be feral. And it's been a few years now since that was launched, and it is content that is just absolutely having a train run on it by multi-boxers to spam unbelievable amounts of ISK out of it. And the other day, it went a little bit wrong and paid out multiple billions per site run. Not exactly sure how long that was going on for, but lol, basically.
I suppose so. Well, I guess, and one of the changes that they made at the Homefronts is that they did make one of them harder. The mining ones are harder, since the Catalyst expansion made mining
All right,
easier.
listen, the baby is being picked out of the trash and cleaned up a little bit. Has it been enough?
I mean, it's been changed before as well. I just can't tell you in what way or when.
I tell you what,
But
I can
know
tell
that
you
it's been
about it is that
changed.
I endlessly in high sec have seen people running around despite the changes in the same ships, just doing it multi-boxing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it goes. Like, is this game not just find a more advanced way to play with yourself? Be real.
That's unfortunate phrasing.
But it's true though. Like, if it's 5 characters and it's 3 characters, of course people are gonna multi-box it. That's just like the 3-person abyssals. People just multi-box those. Anything that requires more people up to like
a bit
10,
of effort. Now, I've never done I've done a fair few regular cruiser-sized abyssals over the years for little stints here and there in a few different ships. I've never done a triple small ship one. Does anybody do them in 3 small ships where all the ships are the same ship doing the same simple thing, or do they have to specialize 1 or 2 of them? They do.
I mean, when I ran them, it was all
multi-boxable.
We ran them in Hawks, and I wasn't multi-boxing them. I had 3 people. We were all in the same ship, same fit, same everything. We could have been multi-boxed, but that's what I mean. Like, that's how this game is designed. This game is designed to play by yourself as much as you possibly can. Because
now let's talk about 1 ship being specialized. So it's not just 3. A deacon and 2 retries, which is obviously if all 3 ships are just straight up DPS ships just doing the same thing, then that's boring and much more easily multi-boxable than having to have 1 doing a different role. I mean, obviously people are multi-boxing with 1 different role, but that's what I like to see in PvE is not just take 5 of the same ship, take 3 of the same ship.
Our friend and horse lawyer, the Pew Source, did earlier say that EVE players like to metagame the fun out of the game. So it being boring doesn't mean that people aren't going to do it. It just means that they're going to do it and then have something entertaining going on another monitor.
I didn't say that the content was necessarily boring. I just think that it's good to have content. It's good to have content that I'm going to sneeze shortly because I think I must be allergic to something we're talking about.
Of course.
I think it's good when the PvE content at least requires that you bring a mix of ships to it, a mix of purposes to it, rather than just spam the same ship, and collectively
this-
they'll all just do the same thing simply.
This definitely does not require that at all. I mean, maybe the
Okay.
highest levels, perhaps, but when you're playing by yourself, you're not going to get caught using things that make it easier to do it, if that makes any sense, without being
Okay.
explicit.
Okay.
So, speaking of
yeah.
using things that you shouldn't for things that you shouldn't be doing, talk to us about the Black Ops battleships.
Well, first and foremost, they've lost something that I think, this is a very divisive topic, half and half. That half the game, myself included, thinks they never should have been given the plate and shield extender hit point bonus. They were being used extensively before that, and I think it's quite painful to have upped their EHP when they were already, in my mind, in a fairly reasonable place beforehand, because it just means that people start to, oh, hello, just as we say the magic words of Black Ops, it's fairly unnecessary to turn these into, up their viability as a set of fleet ships, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. It makes perfect sense, because these are great fleet ships, but they're not great fleet fight ships. They are a surgical strike tool. They are quick in and out. They are dropping on a target.
Well, Nada points
They're
out
not-
that because of the surgical strike update of old that has eventually been undone, it was like for them it kind of worked as a semi-replacement, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was giving them something back, and it's too much, and that's like it's a recurring theme of Eve players is that we metagame the fun out of it all of the time.
Well, we metagame the fun out of it, but the least CCP could do is just use the scalpel. Look at what they're doing and use the scalpel properly.
That's not how
rather
CCP
than
develops
just like
this game.
pressing the
never has
scalpel into
been.
the patient and looking away and just wiggling your hand around.
No, you know that they're using a hammer. They use a hammer to do balance changes. They don't have a scalpel for it. Like, it doesn't exist.
Sven reports that the Wi-Fi in the hotel he's in, no bomb threats, please, is not allowing him to join and talk properly. So maybe he'll try later. But
Amazing.
But yeah, I mean that's not the big deal that people were talking about a lot. And there's a change, particularly to the Panther, that seemingly has half of the opinion be don't really care, and the other half of the opinion be this is terrible, this is a straight up nerf. And that is a dual change to the Panther of removing the tracking bonus, and adding a grappler bonus, which is an interesting addition.
Does it kill the RD Panther? I mean, it definitely supports.
Well, it's a lot less tracking, and you want the track it all the tracking you can get when you've got arties, even if you're shooting another large target.
Right, for sure.
I'm not really sure if there was necessarily a problem with the Panther having a tracking bonus. I mean, it wasn't a wild, crazy Alliance tournament ship style bonus.
The problem with the Panther is that it was the one that I had in my ship hangar, so it needed extra hate, extra attention.
There you go. Sven's going to talk to us in the chat there. He'll talk to all of us there. But yeah, the grapple, the grapple bonus. I'm just
Should
scrolling
I say
down.
what Sven says out loud?
By all means, you be Sven.
I'll be Sven and me at the same time. All right. Grapple bonus is cool, but it didn't need to lose the tracking. It also inherently has real restricted slot layout.
It feels like it feels like somebody at CCP's hand slipped while giving it the grapple bonus, and they accidentally took away the tracking bonus?
No, it makes sense. It supports. So, like, this change supports bringing the Panther closer in to the battle, right?
Right. Okay.
Get closer. And if you add it in with the changes that were made to Force Recons, DCP very clearly wants people to come closer to conflict. They don't want people setting out at, fuck you kilometers away and making it so that you can't target anybody. You know what I mean? They don't want these things to happen, or the dampenings. So I think they maybe just got a little heavy-handed with the Panther, but they could be thinking about the future. Maybe. I don't know, there's a roadmap somewhere.
I guess the question I have is like, what is the overall driving reason for this list of changes against Black Ops?
Well,
I have a theory.
It's several different subjects with Black Ops, but go on, yeah.
So, go on, what was that fun?
They're trying. They've got a set of changes to Black Ops that address a handful of different issues that they see with particular hulls. But yeah, go on.
I just wonder if this is a response to. Obviously, Black Ops response fleets have been a thing for a while now. It feels like this might be a bit of a slap towards that. By kind of going, okay, you can still hit hard, but you're a lot less tanky, making it potentially less viable.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's important. Yeah,
clearly a theory behind it. I don't know what it is.
So Sven wants us to know.
Isn't it wild though that one of the most prolific one of the groups that was the most prolific users of these home defense fleets made of Black Ops battleships switched to a completely different type of ship just a month prior?
Can you tell me who and what ships they switched from and to?
Well, I'm not going to tell you who, but I'll tell you they switched from Blops to Rorquals, and you should be able to know what group it was from that. I'm told that there was no collusion, because of course there wasn't.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
I'm clearly far too low down on the loop here.
Well, there is a group of people that get advance notice to changes. They're called the Council of Stellar Management.
Okay, what are you alleging? Some or
anything.
all of them appear to.
I'm not alleging a single thing. I'm just saying that it's funny. I'm just saying that it's funny. I was told that it did not happen, that they switched before anybody was told that anything was changing. I'm just asking questions, man.
We're in conspiracy theory territory here. Welcome, Sven and Drake.
And then all of a sudden Drake turns up during conspiracy theory territory.
Someone mentions the Panther and I have to join. But I'd like to start out. Can we please just ban Millen from the chat? He needs to shut the fuck up. He always did. Please just get rid of it. Thank you.
Come defend yourself, Millen. Tell him how you really feel.
No. Listen. All of you have a block button available.
But
that will do fine for you.
Luke can attest. When Blots was brought up in the last CSM, I vehemently fought for not changing the Panther because the things that people wanted to do either A, would make it overpowered as shit, which was a target painter strength bonus, which would make it hands down the best battleship in the game by far for a fleet anything, or they wanted to give it a grapple bonus, which is dog shit. Absolute dog shit. Imagine trying to buff something by making it both worse at range and up close.
So this for people who haven't figured it out, this is a range bonus to the fall off of grapplers, and remember that grapplers also have essentially a hidden second type of fall off, which is effectiveness as well. It natively webs you less the further away you are. I don't know why I said it's a second one. It is just the same thing. It's a buff to its actual available range, but it also has a diminishing returns on its webbing strength.
And
over
the more
range as
important
well.
thing as well is the way that the calculation works for the effectiveness fall off. It falls off very heavily as soon as you go into the fall off. So
Yeah.
that extra range on the fall off, the extra range you're getting is essentially worthless range. It makes it slightly better at about between 5 and 7 kilometers. Beyond
Okay.
that, it's fucking worthless. If
Yeah.
the only way they could have made the
If you're
grappler
at
useful,
1k, it's good. If you're not in a Vindicator already.
there's one really cool trait that grapplers have, which is if you overheat it, you get quadruple the optimal range. So if they gave it an optimal range bonus of say 100%, suddenly it's a very effective pseudo Vindy web.
I do have a question though, Drake, on that. Do we need? Okay, no, I'm not going to pose it as a question. I'll just tell you my opinion instead, because it'd be disingenuous otherwise for me to pose it as a question. I don't think that there is such a thing as a missing ship, as in we are missing Tech 2 battleship recons. I don't think that's a missing ship. I think that's a balanced decision.
The false idea that some people in the community have had that all Black Ops battleships should have an E-War bonus is farcical. Like, for the entire time until about a year ago, only 2 of the battleships, actually, in fact, only 1 of the battleships had an E-War bonus.
Much like regular battleships.
Then the Redeemer eventually got 1, which catapulted it, along with its damage, into being insane. And even after its nerf now, it's a heavy nerf, and it's still a solid ship by far. And so then you've got 2 ships, so you're halfway, and then eventually the Sin got the Scrambler range bonus and the Scrambler effectiveness bonus, which was not necessary but cool because the Marshal had that, and people are using Marshals anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I also want to point out to people who are desperate for Black Ops to somehow fill recon roles, recon bonus roles, is that ships for this purpose already exist, and they're called Tech 3 cruisers with a CovOps cloak.
Yep.
They already exist. Just bridge them. Just bridge them or conduit them. These ships already... Oh, yeah, but they don't have enough EHP to take on big gangs. Yes, that's correct.
But that's fucking wrong.
Like
they
the
do.
Point, right?
You can get a
that's
couple
the wild
hundred
thing they actually do. Yeah.
I mean, they can do. Yes.
Who did you ask for that? Someone who's just started the game.
But yeah, it's a common ask when it comes to why do you think that there should be a battleship-sized Arazu, right? Is there like they'll tell you, oh yeah, because Arazu they've just got so little EHP that they just die in my fleet. I'm like, yes,
and they're so
correct.
Expensive.
Oh, they're so expensive,
200
so they should be good. No, Tech 2 battleships. Oh, it costs over $1 billion ISK for this hull, so it should be.
They don't cost. They're like 750 mil on the market at the moment now. Because
if you are a PvPer right now and you haven't played for a while, take this into consideration. Tech 2 ships are a good deal right now. You'll get a lot of bang for your buck when you get a hack or something these days. Just come back and play with them. They're good.
I was very tempted to just scoop up all the Redeemers being put on market, and then people will eventually realize it's still an insane ship.
Speaking of insane ships, that does bring us to the next change that I would like to talk about, and that is the addition of a Tech 2 gun for the Zernitra.
Remember, this was promoted as a nerf.
Yeah. I personally, I can't believe it was nerfed, so it was only better than a Conflag Navy Rev before it spooled. At
greater range. At greater range. With less cap pressure on itself.
So what they did
was and with a better damage profile on its gun.
Yeah, so they nerfed this ship by making it more useful. So now people have to spend more money on those Zernitras.
Yeah,
there is a small silver line to this, that the skill book is trying to be controlled by the people who are farming Pochven, because that's the only place it sources from. So Hopefully they'll nerf
course.
it before these skill books go out.
So how much are they cartelling the skill book up
Four
to?
and a half bill.
Jesus.
Actually, it might be a bit lower now. It might be about 4 bill.
It's
That's still insane.
4 bill. It's a large number, but it's not insane given. I mean, it wouldn't be
I
insane if that
disagree.
was the. Okay.
Here's a hot take. You ready for a hot take?
Okay,
I
hot
think
take.
that you
Red
should be
Rise
able
is
to
poor.
purchase. You should be able to purchase every skill from an NPC. Or sorry, skill book rather, not the skill.
Well, do we have any examples where things are
Yes,
long-term
Ultra
controlled with
Title
skill books?
Disintegrator 2s will be
Yeah.
long-term controlled
Okay.
by the Pochven
Yes, but this has
cartels.
just started. This has just started, and these
and will never
these things
end.
had limited locations that they came from previously, and then they dropped.
I feel like you are overselling the Pochven cartels here because it is essentially two large groups of Russians that fucking hate each other and will do anything to fuck over the other one, even if it fucks over themselves. That is like the history of the Pochven cartels.
So what you're saying is that much like all conflict in EVE, it's somehow more
That's funny.
important that the other side lose than that you win.
That's funny because to me it sounds like you're downplaying the Pochven cartel.
Almost as if
Maybe
he was part
to
of it.
benefit something.
Interesting. It's funny because one side of of these Pochven cartels thinks I'm the Antichrist that is only there to ban them and not the other side, and the other side of the Pochven cartel think I'm the Antichrist and I'm only on the other side to ban them. So I'm like the
Whereas they're all
BBC of the
constantly getting
Pochven.
banned. Do you know
That's
what?
awful.
And I don't think it's notably problematic to say this. It might be a bit mean, but I think that I have never found a farming centric group of players in this game that aren't the thickest people I've ever met in my entire life.
Oh, the best one was someone who complained that he was permabanned, and he did it by recording his two screens. And one side had all of his accounts that weren't banned, and they suddenly got banned very quickly.
Listen, I want to touch upon the fact that a whole bunch around capitals also got some changes, like a whole bunch of minor changes as well. They've taken away the network sensor array from carriers, but I know that previously they added a sort of replacement for it anyway.
Yeah, so
right?
I think this is just closing a loop, right?
Yeah, it's just tidying up after a changeover. You know, I'm not sure why CCP didn't just change the existing one, but whatever.
Well,
carrier
they probably
cargo
put it
bays
into
are much
a new
bigger.
database, you know?
Yeah, a shiny new one.
Well, you know, they've got one Excel spreadsheet that's pre-tier side and another that is post-tier side. So they moved that from the pre to the post-tier side tab.
That's slander, and I'll tell you why. They don't remember the password for the pre-tier side one.
That's not an Excel spreadsheet, it's just a CSV.
Oh, man. Password
Yeah,
stuck with the guy that wrote the
That's why
passcode.
changes take so long for tier side. They make a new tab and save it into there, but because it's a CSV, it just gets rid of all the other tabs.
Can I just say we've also got all the carriers have had their cargo base significantly expanded. Can anyone explain to me why they have different cargo bays per carrier? Like the Archon has gone from 825 to 2,173, but the Nidhogger has gone from 860 to 3,000. What justification is there for the Nidhogger having nearly over 800 more storage than the Archon? Why would they do that?
Have you looked at them?
People are fucking coping.
So, like the Archon.
Does this really matter? Who the fuck cares?
The Archon's too flat to put a bigger cargo bay in it, whereas
correct.
the Nidhogger has this big roof. They've essentially, essentially with the Nidhogger, they've done a loft conversion with the Nidhogger.
Exactly. So think about it. Think about it from a visual thing, right? But also what Nada said in chat is correct. The active repping. But if you think about it, the Nidhogger is the biggest of all of the ships as far as like what the inside space would be. And then the Thanatos
it's got
close.
the hanger bonus.
The Thanatos is close.
So if someone bumps it, if it's moving forward really fast and someone bumps it so it comes to a dead stop, all the cap charges just fly out the front.
the big hole
That's
that they
exactly
left.
what would happen. But then you get to the Chimera, and you know how the Chimera's got that little dip in it, right? So that costs at 200 M3. And then the Archon, well, it's flat. You already touched on that.
Yeah.
Flat can't fit much in it.
I picked up the reason there. It's the buffer ones. I say buffer, as if people are hard local repping these things in.
Although it is more amusing to assume they just use the rand function to work it out.
Well, it's also because this is making what's a battleship cargo bay? It says here that they have a significantly larger bay capacity than battleship, which leads me to believe that they were very similar before, which sounds terrible from a feelings perspective. To have the same cargo space as a battleship, as a carrier pilot, that's what I mean.
Whatever.
That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about when I say that carriers need to be good at something. There used to be things that only carriers could do, or that carriers were optimal for. Now you can do most of those things on a battleship.
They're
Very
optimal at carrying
cringe.
things now. They're optimal at carrying things when they got the big fleet hanger buff. Sorry, the ship
I'm so
maintenance array.
pleased with that. But the SMA change isn't this expansion. But get this, they changed.
No, I wasn't looking for a ship that was great at moving me across regions, moving all my stuff.
That is true. You don't play the game, so
they reduced squadron size from 9 to 6, and equally buffed the damage and hit points to make up for it. All right, cool. So you're going to be losing fewer fighters when you get your fighters wiped almost instantly.
So this change is like a net neutral change. At least that's the intention.
It's something, to lose fewer of them at a time, but you're still going to use them.
Well, it'll help.
It does make it cheaper to use them. Yeah.
Yeah. Force auxiliaries, cap booster amount bonus per plunge on the Apostle, the Minakawa, Ninazu improved. Ninazu already had one, but it's been improved. Lif, it's been improved as well. Thank goodness they put the same bonus on the Dagon now as well. That's really going to make that get used a lot more. And the Loggerhead as well. Society of Conscious Thought ships. Here we go. Now, here are some fairly highly used sets of ships that are among some of the butt ugliest in the game. The Sunesis now. What's that, Drake? Sorry?
The Praxis is nice. What the fuck are you on about?
Praxis is one of the ugliest spacecraft I have seen in any piece of fiction in my life.
But not nearly as ugly as the Gnosis.
That's not true. I've seen the fan art you sent to me. What the fuck?
As disrespectful as possible.
I think the Gnosis is ugly. I don't think it's as ugly as the Praxis.
The Sunesis is good looking. The Sunesis is a good looking ship. It's a good looking ship.
And do you know what? You're going to get an even better, longer look at the Sunesis now because they hugely nerfed its ability to be able to insta-warp, have an insta-warp ship.
I think, in fact, I will get less looks at the Sunesis in the future, as it turns out. But I didn't realize, because, obviously Dre says I don't play the game in high sec. I didn't realize that people were using the Sunesis for so much. This became
travel, they were using it for looting,
anything that they could. This became the go-to for hauling whatever you needed to do. If you needed something to go fast, Sunesis. If you needed to take something from point A to point B, Sunesis.
It had a lot of cargo space for a huge amount of cargo space for an insta-warp ship, meaning that I was completely capable of filling it with dead space, small remote reps, and then flying it straight through Abazon and getting ganked. Which was fantastic experience.
Sounds like a skill issue.
It really was. I should have.
I actually have to agree with Redline here.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I learned
That's
my
for the
lesson.
person who's never been ganked in Abazon.
Recons all had their maximum targeting range cut. All right, sure.
Stupid.
I mean,
no, stupid.
Well,
Dumb.
if your Lachesis was locking to 140 kilometers, then given that you were that far away, I think you can spare some of your shield extender mids for some sensor boosters now instead.
I mean, I guess, but they're already paper thin. Like that's not all of them. I suppose.
Yes, but they're they can be over 100 kilometers away. Sometimes still doing their thing from over 100 kilometers away, depending on the roles on the modules.
Right, but like in the age of being able to shoot really far in EVE Online.
Yeah, well, I think maybe that's the problem then, isn't it?
I think so. And I don't think that the recons were the first ships that needed to take the hit on the range.
Maybe they
when
should
it
have gone.
comes to
It should have gone in
fixing that
conjunction with a
problem.
range nerf. Generally,
Yeah, exactly. Like cruise missiles and railguns, perhaps.
we already talked about these, but can anybody outline just how wild some of the stats are coming out of the Tech 2 Ultra Tidal Disintegrator? Have you seen the mystic ranges on them?
I shared a screenshot internally to CCP of 78,000 DPS at 199 kilometers without mimesis.
Wow.
I think I made a dev cry.
Yeah.
Wow.
The issue really is
Good
in the
nerf.
ammo specifically, not in the gun. I think like the ammo really needs to get nerfed. But even so,
Hopefully.
it is still like kind of still cracked.
Well, hopefully, much like I was talking about earlier about the carrier crab beacons, hopefully this is going to see some rapid fixes to make sure that this change is delivering on its promise, rather than just changing things and breaking things in the game, or just not working in the case of the carrier crab beacon. We have fighter specialization skills. Racial skills with a 2% bonus to damage. That's all it does. Just a 2% bonus to damage on those. So it's going to be nice for people to get through skills rather than
I hate this.
having to go on. Why?
Well, because this is just more skill bloat. This is more stuff to put skill points into, more things to buy injectors for.
This is assuming, of course, that you want to spend all that money on Tech 2 fighters that are going to instantly die anyway.
Well, no, they're not, because the new sights that have been given to carriers don't shoot your fighters, right?
Okay.
That's.
I mean, you got a lot of hit
No,
points.
they're not
Call
going
for
to die.
support after you get tackled.
I'm not going to call for support in my crab beacon from the NPCs, man.
I mean,
isn't
in an ideal world the design purpose behind crab beacons to get people out in capitals to get tackled and kick off fights?
I mean, yes, that is the designed purpose, but in order for that to happen, you first have to get them out into space. I think what's happening now is that CCP is trying to not overload the space with the ships by making them actually useful. So they're not doing it. But once they realize that that's not the strategy, they'll change the air of their ways. Promise. Carriers will be great again.
That's what you think.
I hope so.
I see this change. I mean, to sort of go full circle here before we start to wind down. Seeing CC. I mean, I know that they haven't executed on it properly yet, very obviously, but seeing PVE designed specifically for current carriers rather than changing carriers very much speaks to me that they don't want to generalize the use case of carriers, and instead they want to give them a purpose of their own rather than giving them a purpose that is already belongs to multiple other ships. And I'm on board for that concept.
That's the opposite of how capital should work. Like, when you fly a capital ship, you should be getting the benefits of multiple subcap ships.
So big ship, just better ship.
No, not necessarily.
That's
but
what
big
that
ship
is.
should do more than small ship. Like, there should be a reason to get into the big ship. Like, if I can just have 3 of the small ships, why do I want the big ship?
I think if like the only rule that I really see for carriers as they are now is if they just made carriers have the strongest links, ever so slightly stronger than command ships, and then suddenly you've got more skin in the game to get stronger links at lower range or something.
Yeah, maybe it should be capital centric links or something. I think carriers as a support ship is an obvious path for them.
Million carriers can attack multiple targets. Shut the fuck up! You don't play the game.
Welcome
leave
back,
that poor
Sven.
man alone.
Sven is
He's
here.
not a man and he's not poor. Well,
Sven is going to
his
try
parents
and
are.
speak from his Motel 6 room.
No, bro's on a
Sven.
mountain right now. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm skiing. I'm out skiing. I'm in
You're
Austria.
skiing. You're skiing right now. Well, can you focus
Yeah,
on
it's
the skiing?
very
I don't
cool.
want you to crash into a tree.
Sven
Oh,
hated the
Amazon.
Catalyst update so much that he had to go touch grass.
Well, touch snow.
Real.
But yeah.
It's just
Sven, give us
confusing.
the final word on these things. You can have the final word on this.
Sorry if my mic is bad.
It's good.
The hotel Wi-Fi sucks off. It's really awful. But TLDR is like, it's like someone played the telephone game with like the changes that a lot of the CSM that I've been talking to have been recommending, where it started off as a great idea and then ended up with what we got, where like there's some good parts of it that got through, but a lot of it just kind of missed. Yeah, like we didn't need to buff the Zern and give it more like
Anything.
Just more.
range
Just more. It
and
just got more.
just more, right? And the Panther just straight up got nerfed.
Yep.
Like this, you
It
didn't
caught
see
a
the
stray
Sin,
from the Redeemer.
right? You didn't see the Sin get like when the Sin got the scram range bonus. You didn't see it lose like its drone damage bonus, right? Like,
Well, it did lose a bonus. It was just that bonus was dog shit. It was the rep bonus on the drones.
it's like removing like an RP bonus on the Sin when it lost its rep drone amount, like because it was worse than like half
Yeah.
a guardian. I don't know. It frustrating. It's frustrating, but overall, I think if they fix the Panther a little bit and they nerf the Zern's initial damage with the new T2 ammo and gun, that the rest of the patch is pretty good. Like I think the Deemer nerf. I mean, I would have just nerfed the damage instead of giving it an extra util high. Because I still think it's pretty strong. Just with the
I
small
think it's
layout.
still the strongest. It's probably still the strongest overall.
Yeah. Other than that, though, like I don't know, the Widow DPS buff was good. I like that especially because if you're using torps, getting those to apply well is not the easiest against like smaller stuff. Whereas like with the Redeemer, for example, like you smack them with the heavy newt bonus, by the way, and then track them with your fucking 7.5% tracking bonus per level, right? And your heavy drones, like because you get a full fucking drone bay. But torps are a lot harder to apply, and it doesn't have as big of a drone bay, which I think is good.
So the Redeemer still has the tracking bonus. So
yeah,
we could take the tracking bonus off the Redeemer, give it to the Panther, and give the grapple bonus to the Redeemer. We've done it, boys.
I don't know, man. But like, and I think the DPS buff for the Sin is also decent because it's split in like the way that it deals damage. Where if you want to deal maximum damage, you gotta run both drone and mags, like drone damage amps and mag stabs, and also getting like it doesn't do enough DPS to where it's like an issue with rails because you still have to use drones and then you can't project that as far. And if you're using blasters, it's fucking blasters. You have to be at like literally arm's reach, which is a lot more balanced than having like the 15 km optimal on a Redeemer. So I'm happy with those parts, that part of the changes. And then the carrier crab beacons are a whole non-starter. They don't even work. You can't run them in a carrier.
Yeah.
Like the beacon literally times out, even full glass cannon, like every single damage slot filled, like perfect skill. It is impossible to run them solo in a carrier.
Would you say that's because the carriers, even though they've just got extra damage technically with the skill that doesn't work, are not applying properly?
I mean, that probably, but like fundamentally, it's, I don't know. I hate crab beacons. I've said that a lot, but fuck crab beacons. They're really degenerative in their like design. completely remove like player freedom and agency from like every angle. Anyway, they suck. It's a different rant
Well,
though. The rest of the changes are pretty good.
I have one extra meta talking point, but we're going to require you to be back on your camera for this red line.
I just thought he hadn't paid his bill and it's just run out. He's
Yeah,
finally been disconnected.
He's gone to put 50p in the meter. Good. I'm sure he's rushing back to his computer right now after pretending to be here for this. But
Have you've seen me, right? You know that I don't rush to do anything. But I am I did have a
don't be so hard on yourself.
A brisk walk. Hold on, let me shut my door.
He's American. He had diarrhea. Okay, right. Yeah, well, welcome back from that. What
does being American have to do with having diarrhea? What the fuck?
You'd understand if you saw the shit that we see online.
What are you fucking looking at?
No.
Before you do this thing that you wanted me to see, you wanted to see me for, I want to say that carrier beacons do the opposite, or I'm sorry, the crab beacons do the opposite of remove player agency. They give player agency because instead of having to run the predefined sites, you kind of get to make your own, right? Wherever you want, kind of thing.
That sounds awful.
What?
Okay.
No, like you can't.
What? Yes.
Okay, let's just put it this way. With when you're like you're fundamentally misunderstanding what player agency means.
What? Okay, in your context, what does it mean? Though?
I mean, if we go down this route, then player agency, ultimate player agency, is playing a single player game and using the console.
Well, I mean, sure, ultimate player agency is that, but we're going to be somewhere in between. You know, you're on Rails and that, which I think is fine for crab beacons.
Yeah,
how are they not?
Crab beacons are literally on Rails. If you run more damage, you can't make more money because they're limited. Like the site, the wave respawns are limited on time. Like you will run full tank. You'll run a full tank pod. You're not warping around. Like there's no trade-offs for going hyper or not, right? You're sitting on a pre-set up grid with a sign out a bookmark. Like there's no thought. And then on the flip side for whaling them, like you don't even have to hunt them. They show up on the fucking map. Like it removes all the skill. It's like it's appealing to the lowest common. It's like a caricature.
Content bell. Here's your content slot, boys.
It's like it's 2026. We play Roller Coaster Tycoon online. Like, what do you mean?
Roller Coaster Tycoon online has like infinitely more depth than running crab beacons.
That's fine.
It's cool. By the way, that's called Parkitect, and it's really good, guys. You should try it.
It doesn't need to be the hardest thing in the world, is the thing. But like you've already expressed, CCP clearly does want it to be hard because they've overtuned it to the point where one singular carrier cannot run the carrier crab beacon. Like we're talking about that right now. So like obviously CCP wants these things to be hard.
I'm not gonna engage. This is like unintentional rage bait. You can't. I've been touching grass all week. You can't rage bait me.
You haven't been touching grass. You're skiing. You're touching snow.
Listen,
there's grass
under it, probably.
I want to challenge. This is very much a 50-50 thing because I saw a whole upvoted Reddit thread about it. So it's
removing multiboxing.
No, it's people. I know that you and me are on opposite sides of the opinion matter on this red line, but people were complaining that it's so depressing and it's upsetting and it's bad for the game to just have nerfs. Why can't you just buff everything else?
I saw that. People were complaining about, damn, I finally get to use my Redeemer, and now they're nerfing it.
They're like, nerf bad, buff good. Just buff everything else instead of nerfing one thing.
No, so like
that's how you get the Panther buff.
I don't think they need to buff everything to make one thing, not stand out. But I think that
well, by definition, they do when it's one ship that needs nerfing.
Also,
Right.
Redline,
And when it's very clear
you're
like that, that should be done. But like when it comes to a whole class of ships, like let's talk about when it comes to removing burst jammers from the interceptors. Okay, who asked
yeah,
that?
fuck
No one important.
me.
Yes, lots of
Me.
people asked for that.
Many,
No
many,
one
many,
important.
many.
Many people. Lots
Everyone
of
who's
people
in
No
asked for
ISRAD.
that.
Foolish.
Every single person who isn't in ISRAD asked for that.
See, that's rage
You just
bait
don't play
right
the
there,
game.
okay?
You have no idea what you're talking about.
See,
I
tell him, Phantom.
he
Tell him
does.
who plays
He's
the
having
game.
you on. No, listen. I think you're. I love both of you about this. Sven, I love you for this because you're right, and Redline because you are doing an excellent
You are
troll on
funny.
this, and I take my hat off to you about it.
It's
You
an
know,
honor,
like
sir.
I don't know
Oh, dear.
the amount of people on that thread that were like saying like this isn't how you balance games. This is unprofessional CCP.
What does that
Over
even mean?
flop
What do they
nerfs.
mean by
Over
that? What
flop
on earth
nerfs.
do they mean?
Get it?
So
I
what they
don't
mean
get
by it, and I think that I
Mad
can
that
be
their
very
ship-
clear. Right, and yeah, no, I am a fan of buffing things. I think that power
That doesn't
creep
mean anything.
isn't. I think that power creep isn't an awful thing, and I think that it can be handled just like anything else is. But here is how CCP develops this video game, and you touched on it earlier. We had a nice little bit about it with the hammer and the scalpel. They do not have a scalpel. They have a hammer. They smash everything, and some things get extra smashed. That's what happened with the
No.
Black Ops.
What
They
we
smashed
all
them,
what we
and then they
all
extra
want
smashed the
ultimately.
Panther. However,
They have a hammer
what
and then like a
people
2,000
want,
word sandpaper.
what people would like CCP to do, and what the professional response to balance would be, is that they would look at the parts of the ships that are overperforming and underperforming, and then make those changes specifically to the ships rather than covering an entire class.
And they did that.
Did
That is
they?
exactly
Yeah,
what
no.
they did.
Yeah, they made a
They
change.
did to the
covered
Redeemer
class,
specifically.
and then they extra smashed. That's what I mean. Like they hit it with the hammer, and
Well,
then
no,
they hit it with the hammer again, but only the
I mean,
specific parts.
ultimately,
What was hit with the hammer
realistically,
though? What? Wait,
that
I'm confused. Like
what
Okay,
What?
so
what-
have you
No,
heard
wait.
of the term?
Let me.
Have you heard of the
Redline, let me-
term broad and thin strokes? Like,
Yeah,
have
yeah,
you
yeah.
heard of
About
those
your
terms?
I don't.
Jesus
Because that's what
I
I'm talking
don't.
about. In this case, the
A
hammer
painting
is the
analogy.
broad stroke, the
Yes,
scalpel is
no
the
shit.
thin stroke.
I'm asking in this change, what was the broad overreaching change? Like there's a couple like
Taking off the plate and extender bonuses.
no,
No,
they,
that was
I mean,
was
that
one
was
of the good
fine.
ones.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
I
Is-
agree
is
with
that
I
what was
agreed with what
needed?
Redline was saying until he got to the plated extender bonus. But what Redline is trying to say is CCP could have just like nerfed the plated extender bonus and hit the Redeemer and left it as is, and people would be generally pretty pleased with that because that's a
but they
reasonable rebalance.
Okay.
What they then did was like, oh,
Yeah.
we can buff. We are going to say this is a buff to Blops, and the only one that really got a buff, okay, two, because it's the Sin and the Widow. The Panther they thought they were buffing, but because they don't understand how Panther players work or how engagement and turret mechanics work, they actually nerfed it. That
You
was
would
the
say that.
overreach. And then also they said they were nerfing the Zenitra and double its damage, which is it's not even an overreach. It's just someone just fucking took a line of coke that day when walking into the office.
I'm gonna make the Zenitra awesome. Oh no, that's crazy. But you get what I mean though. Like take off the last bit. CCP likes to do broad strokes. They don't like to do the thin presses or the thin brushes, and that's kind of what people would want in a game that is as old as this one is. Like
Okay.
you would want
The
it to
issue-
be specific.
Is that the community reaction is going to be the same no matter how big or small the actual change is. They could have like made the buffer change be like it's half as strong. Like you get like whatever the 50% bonus to shield and like 25 to plates instead of what it was before. People still would have freaked out the same amount because a lot of the like, and this is like a long standing issue and kind of core to the game is that people put so much time investment into either buying a ship or skilling into it, or like they really like a ship because they use it a lot, and so like they get very emotionally attached to certain like parts of the game, and so when those are touched because they're strong or overperforming, like people freak out.
I agree with you, but I do think this is another CCP's failures in this regard, because the plate and extender bonus was
Should have
never
never been.
meant. It was never meant for T2 ships. The person that came up with the idea, it was just for T1 ships, and you can argue maybe that extends to Navy, but I don't know what his intentions are. If CCP said early on, "Whoops, we fucked up. This isn't meant for that. Don't bank on this keeping," then eventually people would still complain, but at least they can be shown CCP did intend to remove this. But they waited years, over 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. The other thing that I will say is that I think, touching on the plate extender bonus in general, I think it's a little too strong. It should have been half the amount that it's giving right now. Like the amount of like ISK per EHP that you can get out of a Roke or a Raven or whatever, or a Maelstrom, is kind of absurd. Especially like, I really like cheap T1 battleships because I think the meta is a lot healthier when it's T1 battleships, because they're inherently a lot weaker to the stuff that they're weak against. Like, unlike what the FNI was, or unlike what the hack meta was. Like, if you get a Maelstrom fleet out doing something and you bring a hex and you jam out their like webs and paints, they will not do anything to you. It's not like an FNI fleet where they can just brute force stat stick you and win anyway. So I think that's overall a lot healthier, but because and with that comes, like, you want to have cheap T1 battleships, because people in T1 battleships, like, fighting them's fun, fighting in them is fun, having them not be crazy expensive is great. But on the flip side, like, the bonuses make them a little too stat efficient. And part of that is also kind of the nullsec trend of, we're now at the point where there's basically like very few like strategic fights that are under like 1,000 versus 1,000, and in that kind of an environment, like, just DPS and projection are more important than pretty much everything else, and like cost performance, because like no
DPS.
matter what, like it's
fair,
like the
Sven,
HP versus DPS versus cost.
EHP and DPS being so important is something. It is a paradigm that is amplified the larger a
Yes, yeah, that's what
conflict
I was getting at.
gets.
Like, no
Yeah,
matter how
I
expensive you
really
make it,
hate that the game keeps on being balanced around how can we make these ships work for 1,000 people.
yeah, because like, no matter how much ISK you put into a subcapital ship, it will get volleyed when you're fighting 1,000 people. Like, a full fleet of T1 battleships, no matter what ship it is, will volley you, like, at least for the beginning part of a fight, no matter how much ISK you put into it. Like, the giga expensive low sec max, for example, they have a lot of EHP. They're really expensive. They're like 3.5 bill a pop, I think, at current X type prices. Maybe 2.5, I forget. But they're expensive. Like, that's like, after insurance, that's probably like fucking 15 T1 battleships, right? But you just can't get enough EHP out of it to survive a Maelstrom volley or a Raven volley or a Rogue volley from a full fleet, let alone two. So you run into this spiral where it doesn't really matter how much EHP they have to a certain point. They just have to have enough to get by and trade, and you're just trading.
I think this is a
extender
good
bonus.
topic.
Like, kinda,
I think this is a good topic to start off a following show about.
Sure.
Is design around
I had a very nice dinner.
large numbers. Yeah, you have a good one. But I think it's time we went around the room for final thoughts about about these changes. Did Drake want to go first?
I'd say it was pretty fun writing literally over half of the patch notes for a major update. I think the Synesis nerf was a bit heavy-handed, but I can understand it nerfing, so it's very hard to get sub to align. That part is not controversial. I just don't think it should have lost the cargo bonus as well. It seems a bit unfair. Nerfing the metamorphosis, why? But the practice
I've
in Gnosis,
forgotten
I can
it existed,
understand.
to be honest.
Panther, literally a fucking crime. Whoever thought this was a buff genuinely needs to unlobotomize themselves. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
And then Zern. You forgot the
Oh yeah, sure, the zone as well, yeah.
Also,
And
potentially add another avenue for adding Zern, like the T2 skill books. I think they only drop from
Obs.
Well,
Obs.
we had a chat about this earlier, and they're being cartelled because they can only come from there. Yeah, badly cartelled, but cartelled nonetheless.
Drake's in the
One of-
Pochven cartel, by the way. In case he tells you he's not, he absolutely is.
Yeah,
Give me,
he's
give
wearing
me
new
amounts of
jewelry as
money and
well.
I'll ban ICU again. That's how it works.
Luke, any thoughts about final thoughts about this?
And I got a little bit distracted timing out Millen every time someone kept paying channel points for it.
Love that.
So Zanicha go Burr. I think is my final thought on that one. But I actually do agree that they probably need to make the skill book available outside of Pochven. I mean, I think
even just
introducing it in a specialist region, fair enough. Fine. Like if they kind of want to roll it out there and then it becomes more widely available, maybe okay. I'm probably not
I
locking
think
it.
that gives me a different final thought, and my new final thought is that it's really good of the Triglavians to be sealed away from the known universe for who knows how many hundreds or even thousands of years, and for them to use the same APIs for their skill books that regular Capsulia skill books use. But yeah, Sven.
Yep.
Any final thoughts? Yeah.
Actually, the Panther change was a buff to brawling, just like all the other. Just like Surgical Strike was a buff to brawling, and the Sino was a buff to brawling. So,
oh dear,
that's my thoughts on that.
You have me in the first round, not gonna lie.
Redline, you always get to have the final thought of the show, and today's no different.
What about you? What are your thoughts?
My thought was about the skill book APIs.
Redline has no
fair
thoughts.
enough. It's true. I don't have many thoughts right now that I haven't already expressed on the show. But I can say, like, you mentioned that thread where people were asking, about not having nerf after nerf on everything. And I think it's really important that you understand what they're really asking for, right? Because what they're asking for is just that, but also a change to the way that CCP does balancing, where it's not all inclusive. It is specific things. Look at what's overperforming, target it, make it so that it doesn't overperform without other things falling to the wayside as collateral damage. And with that note, you have been just provided with a link to join the Untethered Discord. If you want to join that and ever be on the show moving forward, you'll want to be in that Discord. And also, we're going to raid our friend Apex262. I don't know if you've heard of Apex, but he's a good dude. And when we get over there, I want you guys to follow him. There's like 100 and there's not 100.
Not in a creepy way, right? You mean on Twitch?
Right, on Twitch. Huff, I
right,
don't
not in
know
real life.
what happened to the Bob Ross raid, and I can tell you for a fact that I would have given you your points back for that. But on that note, hopefully we'll see you next Sunday on a future episode of Untethered. And then we're gonna raid this guy. I think we wave now. And then we say goodbye.
Waving.
I'm waving. You just
goodbye,
can't
friends.
see me.
See you next time.
I also have no clothes on, so I'm waving. Just imagine me naked and waving.
I'm always